would like to welcome the audience of the September 18th, 2018 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. At this time, I'd like to call on Coach LaSalle Williams to lead us in the invocation and pledge.
Dear Lord, we come again today thanking you for allowing us another blessed day. Thank you for life, for health, and for strength. And we ask your presence in this meeting tonight, and we pray for those who suffer throughout the land, especially those people in the Carolinas, that you have mercy upon them at this time. We pray for this board, the staff, and those who have come tonight to seek our help. We pray, let the Holy Spirit guide and lead us that we might do that which is proper in your sight. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Miss Jennifer Collier, would you mind calling the roll for us, please, ma'am?
Chair Little.
Here.
Vice Chair Armentor.
Here.
Miss Cobb.
Here.
Miss Dickerson.
Here.
Miss Galicia.
Here.
Miss Hyatt.
Here.
Mr. Link.
Here.
Mr. Porsche.
Here.
Mr. Navarre.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. This is an 11-member board. It will take the majority of those members present to grant or deny any requests heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome of the vote. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the request from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone and state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicant needs to fill out a blue request to appear form, which is located in the back of the room. This form must be turned in to one of the staff members prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. The opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there's a large group waiting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speakers request forms or is submitted, the time allotted for individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The variances request is final tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on September the 20th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.cppj.net. Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis, and Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. At this time, I'd like everyone to please silence any electronic devices. Before we go into the agenda items, I would like to recognize a couple of our police jurymen that are here with us tonight, Mr. Calvin Collins and Mr. Tony Guillory. Thank y'all so much for being with us tonight. Item number 5 on the agenda, take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the August 21st, 2018 Planning and Zoning meeting.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Cobb and a second by Mr. Link. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6. Take appropriate action on VAR 08180049, a request by Nerissa Anthony for a variance to allow a dwelling with less than required lot square footage, required 43,560 square foot, requesting 27,007 square foot in the 1300 block of Topsy Road in Ward 1. Ms. Jennifer?
This property, oh, I'm sorry, we need a motion. A second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Well, we have a motion and a second
Is that motion to approve with conditions?
to approve with conditions. See that on the paper?
This property is located in the Gillis area and encompasses .62 acres of agricultural zone land. Until recently, the applicant's property was part of a larger tract owned by the applicant's family. In the donation from her family, she received adequate road frontage, but is lacking square footage. If the variance is approved, the applicant will build a house at this location. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because the proposed development is consistent with the lot size pattern in the immediate area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the condition that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development.
Thank you, Ms. Jennifer. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? We have no blue cards or opposition on this item. Does the board have any questions or comments? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 7. Take appropriate action on RZ 08180088, a request by Gazio Land LLC to rezone from agricultural A1 to recreational vehicle park, R-RVP, to allow recreational vehicle park 173 spaces in the 7500 block of Highway 27 South in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Mr. Link. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in Carlos and encompasses 40 acres of land. Gazino Land owns a portion of the land in question and is in the process of purchasing the remaining land from the Gale family. The proposed park will be constructed in phases, with the first phase being 91 units and the second phase being 82 units. The park will include the existing pond and an office building containing bathrooms, showers, and laundry facilities. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that RV park model types are prohibited, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
Not unless you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. We do have one blue card in opposition, Ms. Josh Herman. If you would, come to this microphone and give your name and address, please.
My name is Josh Herman. I live at 711 Burton Shipyard Road, which is directly across the street from where the proposed park is to be. In an area where we already have one RV park and a man camp right down the road, I just don't understand the concept behind putting another really large RV park, why that would be approved. Also bringing in other people, which with families come children. We have a school right down the road that my children attend to. It already has, it's pretty full. Classrooms are full up. So that'll increase that number of kids in there as well, which could take away from the education of the kids that grew up here locally.
Yes,
So that's my concerns with it.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Harmon. Any board members have any questions or concerns? Does the applicant have anything else he wants to add to Mr. Herman's opposition?
Good evening. My name is Philip Gazzino. I live at 4319 Edgewater Drive in Lake Charles. I understand that this is primarily for a construction project. There won't be children attending these RV parks, or very few, if any, to affect the school systems or anything. And the developer of the new plant that's going to be built down on Burton Shipyard Road is asking for this, not only for the convenience, but they're going to bus people in and out, so it's going to keep that much more traffic off the road to help clear it up, because Highway 27 is already pretty much congested from the other projects. But I really don't see an issue. It's going to be quiet and clean and a very nice system, so I don't think there's going to be a problem, and I don't think I don't think there'll be an objection or a problem with him down the road. I think he'll approve it and like it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any board members have any questions or concerns for either the applicant or for the staff? No questions? Ms. Jennifer, can I get you to do a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Navarre?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Mr. Forshey?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Ormentor?
Yes.
Ms. Galicia?
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
11-4.
Thank you. Motion carries.
I mean, 10-4, sorry.
Thank you.
10-4.
10-4, motion carries. Agenda item number 8, take appropriate action on RZ 08180090, a request by Gregory Fontenot to rezone from mixed residential R2 to light commercial C1 to allow commercial development convenience store at 2665 North Perkins Ferry Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre and seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace, please.
This property is located in the Moss Bluff area and encompasses 1 acre of land. The land was originally zoned light commercial under the Comprehensive Zoning Action in 1982. In 1997, the land was rezoned to the current mixed residential zoning at the request of the then owners to allow placement of the existing manufactured home. If the rezoning is approved, the manufactured home will be removed and the property will be sold. The new owners will build the proposed 4,000 square foot convenience store, which will have a brick and stucco exterior. We have received written opposition to this request, and the letter is attached to the item on your tablets. Because the proposed zoning is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that screening must be provided on the west and south property lines in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code of Ordinances prior to final electrical approval, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that the development must comply with the Corridor Overlay District standards in Sections 26-165 through 26-172 of the Parish Code.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything he'd like to add to the staff's recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Tom Gale, 713 Kirby Street in Lake Charles. I'm here on behalf of the applicant today. This is another in a series of convenience stores that have been built. The same developers have built multiple stores throughout the Lake Charles area. They have had them built in quasi-residential areas in the past. It has not affected property values, it's not affected traffic, it's not affected anything adversely The staff's recommendations are certainly acceptable, and they do a good job of safeguarding the residential neighborhood that's around there. If you look on the map that's up on the display right now, there is a portion of this site that is already commercially zoned. And what happened is when they put the roadway in, they put it in the wrong place. And so they meant to keep an entire corner available for commercial zoning, and then it got cut off. So the portion that is directly north of the yellow box, which we're seeking rezoning on, is already commercial. So it's adjacent to and contiguous to an existing commercial property. Additionally, there is a portion of the property that is up to the north, that entire quarter section to the north of the property that's in the pink in the top left corner, that is also commercial. So we're not just dropping a convenience store in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's consistent with the remaining use that's around it. It's got a good store. We've reached out to some of the neighbors who have expressed the opposition to see if there's anything we could do to accommodate the concerns and requests. Glad to do, reasonable conditions that they may have. Didn't get any specific feedback on anything they can do, and respect and understand that it's a change, and it's something new for the area, but it's growing. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Gale?
Okay, the property along Miller Street that is not commercial, is that also, I'm not seeing it on my paperwork showing that that's gonna be zoned.
Actually, the road is not,
It's going to the road, or it's not?
it's gonna go to the road. If you look at
Okay.
the site plan, Amanda, do you mind?
I'm wondering why it's not showing, right there, it's not showing it. Go back.
The survey.
Yeah.
The survey.
But it's not showing that that's a part of something that's gonna be rezoned.
No, because the
It's already
road's in the
zoned.
wrong location.
Green.
She's gonna, okay.
The
If you
red.
look on the survey, you'll notice the way it's drawn out on the right as to where the driveway is. It's because and if you look on the far right of this diagram, you'll see that's where the road is laid out, and that's where it was platted as part of the subdivision plat, which would cure your problem. But when they built it, they built the road in the wrong spot relative to the plat. And so you've got that tiny little sliver in there that doesn't look like it, but the zoning will go all the way to Miller Road to the corner.
And there will be no access off of Miller Street.
Not on the site plan.
Okay. So strictly on North Perkins Ferry Road will you be able to enter and exit the convenience store?
Mhm.
Any other questions for Mr. Gale? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We do have some opposition. There's a letter on our pad. We have 3 blue cards in opposition. Mr. Tommy Lejeune, can you come up to the microphone, please, sir, and state your name and address?
Tommy Lejeune. I live at 2661 North Perkins Ferry Road, which is next door to where they want to build. And we have 5 gas stations already in the area. I have kids. We have neighbors that has kids. I've had an uncle got killed in that area right there because of the traffic. It's just, I don't see no reason to have a convenience store there at that location. There's no sense in it, in my opinion. So.
Thank you, Mr. Lejeune. Do you
Thank
have
you.
any questions or comments?
Oh, can I say something else?
Yes, sir.
And the gentleman said that he reached out to the neighbors. No one come and talked to us at all. No one, I've never got a letter or anything in this situation.
Thank you, sir. Angela Broussard?
My name is Angela Broussard. I live at 2686 North Perkins Ferry Road, directly across the street from the piece of property. I am the one that he reached out to only because the email that I sent Mr. Crane was attached to tonight's agenda. I do oppose it for multiple reasons. One is property values will decrease. 2 is safety concerns. Down Miller Avenue and the back roads, there have been several drug homes, busts and everything down there. Those type of people will be hanging out in the parking lots of gas stations. We already have trouble getting in and out of our driveways because of the traffic that we currently have on that road and the speed at which they travel down that road. I have a young daughter who's 17 years old. I allow her to come in late at night. I'm not going to feel comfortable of her coming in after dark with that across the street from our home. She has trouble currently sleeping because of the noise level on that road. He is saying that the only access is going to be North Perkins Ferry Road. That's going to have 18-wheelers, gas trucks going in and out of that driveway, blocking traffic. Vendor trucks going in and out, blocking traffic. We have a hard enough time. And like Mr. Tommy said, there are gas stations close enough to us that you can go less than 3 miles most directions and get to a gas station if you need to get to one. There's one on both ends of North Perkins. There will be 2 at the end near 378 and North Perkins soon. There's one at the end of Joe Miller Road, and there's one at the end of Gillis Cutoff Road. We do not need a gas station right there. And no, it is not a subdivision, but we are families that live across the street and next door to it. And the property behind it that he pointed out as commercial is also family, it's trailers and stuff that people live in with their families. It's not stores.
Thank you, Ms. Broussard. Have any questions for Ms. Broussard? Thank you, ma'am. Another blue card, Paula Hebert.
Hi, my name is Paula Hebert. I live at 2640 North Perkins Ferry Road. These are some of my neighbors, and we all live in that strip. There's about 8 families. We've all been there anywhere from 20 to 60 years, our homes. And again, the high traffic volume will be compromising our families. I've seen multiple wrecks come flying off that street, landing in our yards. And I'd say up late at night, I see what kind of traffic goes through there. Again, I've driven from that lot all the way to each of the corresponding convenience stores. Each one is 3.3 or less miles from that lot. So we have 5, like she said, 5 convenience stores that you come from either side of North Perkins Ferry Road, north or south, you have plenty of convenience stores to get to. And again, with the Gillis cutoff area, they are also building another more for less right across the street from it on 171. So we will then now have 6 convenience stores. And if you can't get your stuff there at that time, you know, why should we have a personal convenience store in the front yard of these neighbors or even closer than I am? But we're all right in row with all of this, and a convenience store is not the most advantageous for our family safety, the compromising of the traffic, and the school buses already are having problems with the kids getting on the bus and off the bus. It turns at Joe Miller every day, back and forth. We've got heavy debris trucks, dump trucks that go to the dump that turn on Miller, and another store with, like she said, the vendor trucks. That's just gonna make a heavier volume, and these cars come out of that, off that corner to turn into flying traffic. I'll be able to see a lot more wrecks. And that's not fair to our families and the elderly. When they rob the store, where are they gonna run? They're gonna hide in our yards, under our cars, in our elderly families' homes till the cops pass. So I'm really opposing the convenience store, and that's for the safety and the compromised areas that we'll fall into. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Ms. Hebert. Any of the board members have any questions or comments for the staff or the applicant? Do the applicant have any comments back against the opposition?
Very briefly, the concern with the criminal activity is something that we just can't control in a land use. And what's happened is that there are stores by these same developers in other parts of town, and they run a good store. They don't allow the loitering. Mr. Lejeune's concern being right next door, let's build him a fence. I'll stipulate to you right now, we'll do appropriate fencing. We've done this in other neighborhoods, and the old saying, fences make good neighbors. and that'll stop down, and it'll help some of those, the housing right there. Across the road, there's only so much you can do across a public road. But if the staff, of course, the construction has some recommendations that we can modify and maybe work some changes into the intersection, that would help everything. I'm certainly glad to consider whatever it would take in order to try and keep the neighborhood in the same condition that it's in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
I
Randall?
got a question for the staff. The property just north of this is all in red. It's zone commercial already. I mean, they could just as easy go over there and build it without our permission, pretty much, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct, Mr. Armitage.
Right across the street.
There's several tracts of land, not only north of Miller Street, but even south near Joe Miller Road. And it looks like there is another tract on the west side of North Perkins, right before you get to Joe Miller Road, that's zone C1 light commercial, that would allow for that
Would
development.
allow for the development also, so there's
Yes, sir.
adequate properties. I mean, even part of what they're wanting to put it on is already zoned.
Yes,
right?
sir, and quite frankly, that's one of the reasons I recommended for that, because it is a consistent land use pattern as you move down North Perkins Ferry Road. There's not a lot of, the pattern itself is sort of chock-a-block, so you do have a lot of
You drift in and out of
commercial.
commercial, residential.
Correct, so,
Well, I don't see a convenience store attracting traffic. They are what they are. They're convenience stores. People don't drive out of their way to go to one. They are passing in front and they stop.
People
You
still have
know?
to pull out. I don't know if you've been down there.
Well,
There's a
yeah.
lot of traffic.
I mean, it is, but they're not bringing additional traffic to the area. It's not like building a trailer park or something right there.
and most
And
likely.
And there's plenty of areas right there that they could go to build it right across the street, I guess, if they wanted, or right down the road, or head
Just
a little
north of
further
there?
south, a little further north.
Isn't that a dirt pit, a family-owned dirt pit right there? Because I went to high school with all them.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of them live out there or whatever.
Yeah.
Right,
They all do,
and
but-
just to the north is actually a commercial C&D site where,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
bring debris and things like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Porter?
One comment on the traffic. I mean, these investors, developers, they, in fact, do traffic studies, and they will put a convenience store where there's high traffic areas. So, I mean, it's
Already there.
kind of the nature of the game there, but just, I'm sure it is heavy traffic, and that's why they want to be there. So,
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Just one comment.
Yes, sir. Mr.
As
Smith.
pointed out by the last lady that spoke, there's a significant number of convenience stores within a very short distance of this. So just keep that in mind. I think she said 3 miles. I didn't measure it, but
Right.
there's at least 3 or 4.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Jennifer, would you have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Smith,
No.
Mr. Navarre,
No.
Ms. Galicia,
No.
Mr. Link,
No.
Ms. Cobb,
No.
Mr. Porsche,
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson,
No.
Mr. Ormentor,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah.
Ms. Hyatt.
Yes.
4, and 6 against.
Motion fails. Agenda item number 9, take appropriate action on RZ 08180091, a request by Dorothy Hannah to rezone from agricultural 1 to single-family residential R1 to allow single-family residential development, 493 lots in Pine Shadows Estate at 750 Goodman Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Galicia and a second by Ms. Cobbs. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located east of Lake Charles and encompasses approximately 215 acres of land, which was formerly Pine Shadows Golf Course. If the rezoning is approved, the applicants will sell the land to a development company that will construct the proposed subdivision. The subdivision would be built in 4 phases and would come before the board for preliminary plat approval at a later date. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because the proposed zoning is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything they'd like to add to the staff's recommendation? State your name and address, please, sir.
Brent Hawkins, 1417 Hodges Street, Lake Charles, Louisiana, 70601. And there is a handout circulating that relates to some items I will be discussing. I'm just going to wait a brief moment until everyone has one.
Wes, here's another one. Thank you.
Again, my name is Brent Hawkins. My partner and I, Bruce, I forget Bruce's name, it's been one of those days. Bruce Baker, thank you. We are proposing and requesting a zoning change from agricultural to residential for the purpose of developing Pine Shadow Estates. One of the big quandaries that's faced our nation as well as our local area is affordable housing. That is what this project is designed to address. Let me start off first by saying we are not talking about constructing mobile homes. We're not talking about putting up trailers. We are talking about houses. As we talk about affordable housing that we have conceptualized with respect to this development, the price point is approximately $175,000 plus or take. And the reason being, as the studies have shown locally, there is a gap for housing in that price range that allows folks to be able to become not only renters, but homeowners. What we know through the studies is that home ownership builds communities, home ownership improves tax bases, and is just a sound way to foster development in other areas. As we talk about affordable housing, typically the numbers, they look at 30% of whatever that household income is, and they figure out that's the threshold. There's actually a national average, and that moves on a regular basis, but that is the manner at which they make a determination of what affordable housing is. A couple years ago in August, there was a proposal to develop mobile homes or a trailer park at this particular site. There was discussion of putting in 685 mobile homes, okay? At that time, it was also discussed that based on the ordinance that the actual density would allow for homes otherwise at approximately 1,000. So as we kind of move through this, our proposal is 28% less than what was requested a couple years ago. And part of that is we just want to make sure that as we start talking about introducing and building community is sensible, it's manageable. And so that's how we come up with that. But what we did take into account is the fact that we wanted to develop this in a very responsible manner, and that's how we ended up coming up with that number. So over the past 4 days, we've had outreach in social media. We, on Saturday and Sunday, we ran an advertisement on the front page of the American Press because we held a community meeting yesterday at the church located on the corner of Opelousas and Goodman. And the purpose was to be able to introduce ourselves to the community, but also ask questions, because a lot of, as I started looking and talking to folks, the question, well, what's going on and why are they doing it? What is this going to be? So we were fortunate, we had probably 18 to 20 folks that showed up at the meeting. We were able to share with them the presentation that you have and answer questions that they presented to us. One of the consistent questions that came out was, well, what about traffic? What about traffic? And what we shared with them is that traffic's an issue. But one of the things that will be required through the approval process of a subdivision is that there's going to be a traffic study, and there are going to be recommendations that are made based on our proposal that we would abide by. It is, I'll say it now because Bruce and I have talked about it, there is no desire once these recommendations are made for variance, for exceptions, anything else. We want to be good neighbors. We understand that this is a small one-way in, one-way out, so there needs to be some consideration to figure out adding 493 homes, and there are going to be vehicles, how to find that best mix. The folks that do the traffic study are going to say, hey, look, based on what you presented, these are our recommendations. And we're going to say, fine, and those are items that we will incorporate into our plan. And we will work with the agency. That's a combination of the state and the parish that at that intersection. And we will look to, hey, look, guys, this is where we are. This is what we want to do. This is what's required. We have no problems. Let's move forward. So whatever is necessary at that point, work to address. And if it's a traffic signal, if it's turn lanes, whatever that requirement is, that's what we're going to do. And we're very adamant about that. We also see some very sensible approaches that we'll be sharing and making inquiry about, just making sure that if there's opportunities to create even better access to do those things. We understand that this is a change. Folks say, well, why that number? Why such a big number? This is what we know. Presently today, based on the development studies, in housing specifically, it's about a 10,500 home shortage. Housing shortage here in Lake Charles. That's expected to grow at minimum by another 1,000 homes over the next 8 years. This problem isn't getting better, it's getting worse. And so this is a project that would address about 5% or so of that need, that is going to create a community. And right across the street from there is a development put together by Bob Davis called Lake Caroline. And it's an ideal community. There are 380 homes, I think, over there that have been very well done. And as we think about what's our sub-development going to look like, well, it's going to look very similar to that. And if we could add a little bit to it, we'd like to add a little bit to that. But conceptually, that's what we have in mind. As the display has shown, there's a different kind of a plat of what has been presented. This is just a concept at this time. We understand going further involves such things as addressing drainage, water, sewage, utilities, and these are all things we understand that the parish has strict requirements that we must adhere to. And again, it is not our desire to subtrovert or try to get an exception. Well, don't have us do 3 if we can do 2. That's not our desire. Whatever the requirements are, we plan on meeting that and moving forward. Thank you. One of the things that I will note in the housing study is that this type of plan directly and consistently addresses the need for affordable housing. With that said, I'm going to hold the rest of my time for rebuttal if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I got
Mr.
one
Navarre?
question, Mr. Hawkins. I got one question.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Coach.
The houses, I guess that's on the south, that development on the south side?
On the east side?
East side.
Okay, I was going to say, yes.
Well developed.
Yes, sir.
Well built.
I believe so.
Now, this affordable housing that, you know, it's gonna be compatible? Or
Yes, sir. It's going to be, yes, it would be compatible to answer your question. It would be much like that. We're talking about houses in the range of between 1,200 and approximately 1,500, maybe 1,600 on the outside, 2, 3 bedroom homes. That's what we're talking about, but very compatible. And if you look through the presentation, you'll see some conceptual renderings that we see being the type that would go in there. That would be very consistent with what's at Lake Caroline presently.
That's why I asked, because some time ago when the first proposal was a mobile home park, which would not be compatible.
It absolutely isn't, and this board did the right thing in declining that. I know that the folks over at Lake Caroline appreciate it. I've had conversations I had a conversation with Mr. Davis today, and he understands that this particular use is consistent with exactly what he's done, and the ability to be able to provide housing has a kind of positive domino effect in that as you move almost 500 families from other places throughout Lake Charles, it's going to free up those places where they were, so we can start creating a slight windfall in addressing the issue of affordable housing.
Mr. Navarro?
Yes, sir.
You talk about affordable housing.
Yes, sir.
Is this gonna be like a rent-to-own?
We're still working through that. That will be one of the avenues that we look at, because what we understand is that not everyone day one is in a position to qualify for traditional market-driven bank financing. So one of the things that they were able to do over at Lake Carolina is put together a program that allowed for, it's a rent to lease to own process, where for X many years, it was in a rental mode, and speaking with them today, even they have 33 homes that January 1st are gonna go transition from homes that were under rent to homes that are now available for purchase. And what happens is they take those payments that have been made during that tenure, and they apply them to whatever that amount was, and so they get that benefit of what's been paid over the duration. So that is part of the aspect that we'll be looking at. We'll be teaming with all the local agencies with respect to lining up prospective persons and helping them get ready for that process of purchasing, hopefully.
Any other questions for Mr. Hawkins? Thank you, sir. We do have 3 blue cards in opposition. Deidre Bernard.
Good afternoon, I'm Deidre Bernard. I live at 4247 Pine Shadow Lane, and I've been residing there since '05 when it was a golf course. I'm on the back side of the golf course and north side of the freeway. There's very few owners in that area that I was originally there to reside with. There was no Lake Caroline when I first moved there. It was a golf course. And it's just sad to see that we have all these beautiful trees that we have on on the Pine Shadow Golf Course that's gonna probably get shut down, cut up and stuff. And I can't see the traffic. The traffic is gonna be congested with the one-way in and one-way out. The flooding I have a problem with flooding now. I don't know if they have anything with that as well, but I just can't see that happening. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Abraham.
Thank you.
I mean, Ms. Bernard. Raywood Gilbert.
Good evening. My name is Raywood Gilbert, and I reside at 557 Jumping Jack Lane. The guy, he said one thing that I'll agree with him about housing and homes will build a community. I'll agree with that. But then there's a lot of other issues that we have that are the one-way in to Lake Caroline. And if he build these homes that he want to build, that'll be at least 1,000 other cars going over that one overpass. And I don't think the overpass can handle all of that, besides the equipment, the 18-wheelers that he gonna have to be bringing in equipment to knock the trees down and clear the area. They won't be able to make that turn on Opelousas Street up on Goodman Road and then going over that overpass. That overpass can't hold all of that. And they need to address something about that. And then the sewer, he brought it up that they was gonna do something. Well, I don't think that too much can be done because there is a little problem with Lake Caroline. That's where I live at. And the sign, the zoning sign, I don't know where they're supposed to put the zoning sign, but to put the zoning sign way back there at the boat launch where nobody in Lake Caroline and nobody on Opelousas Street could see that there was gonna be a meeting. Nobody. So when something was rolled back there, we started telling everybody. That's why so many of us not here, is because nobody know about it. He said he put something in the paper addressing having a meeting Sunday, but the newspaper That's a third way of advertising it. He should have went to work and put it on the news and the radio or something like that, that we could have heard it. A lot of people might have been out of town or something like that and didn't read the newspaper to know about the meeting last night. Because if I'd have known about the meeting, I'd have definitely been there. But then I just appreciate y'all trying to understand that there's no way in. Now, they don't have enough way in on Goodman Road going over that overpass. And if that bridge collapses over the interstate, what are we gonna do? What are the people gonna do? We don't have but one way in, and we've had to wait 3 hours sometime because of an accident on the corner by the church. We've had to wait 3 hours. You couldn't go in, couldn't go out. And I just hope that y'all would take these things in consideration. We have enough homes that's being built. But he said this is some low-income home, but $175,000, that's a lot of money. Who are you gonna get to buy these homes? You gonna drop the credit rating or something? Must be, because it's just impossible to try to get somebody to buy a home back there. I thank the board, I appreciate y'all for y'all time, and I hope y'all can understand, like I said, there's nothing wrong with building homes, you know, because it builds a community. But it's got ways and things that it gotta be done, the process of getting them built. And Lake and Goodman Road cannot handle it. Thank y'all,
Thank you,
appreciate
Mr.
it.
Gilbert. Aaron Goodman?
Good evening. My name is Aaron Goodman. I reside at 521 North Goodman Road. And my family has been there since time. The title on my property is signed by Benjamin H. Harrison. So that kind of tells you how long our family has been there. The culvert in my driveway that the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury put there in 1961. I have watched this growth all of my life. So development we're not against. We want to present to you the proposal to the zoning change for the simple reason that we like it agricultural because it keeps these things from trying to come in on our neighborhood. And developing our community, how are they developing our community when they're making it twice the size? And giving us more traffic, creating more safety hazards. So, we're not opposed to the development. What we're opposed to is the fact they've come in here with no plan. Because they're still doing the same thing, laid out with 493 homes that they want to add in here, but the same entrance, the same exit. There's other alternative routes that could be formulated for this property. And it could be developed with other forms of egress. Not on Goodman Road. Can't handle it. You got this overpass right there. That's state property. Parish can't do anything with that. Appreciate you people holding what you hold true to your values by denying it the last time they tried to come in here with the mobile home park. We ask, those of you in opposition here tonight, would you please stand? But we didn't know anything about the meeting. But we found out they're trying to slide it under. Just like they're trying to slide this one in, one out. That's the only thing we're opposed to. We can't stand that overload on that road. It's gonna kill more people right there at that intersection of Opelousas and Goodman Road, especially when the infrastructure starts changing, when you start developing the bridges, which is so badly needed. I'm so aware of the need for housing in our area, but we don't need it without a plan. And the way they're going at it right now is the same old, same old. So I ask, please, deny their zonal request because we're not ready for it yet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. I would like to make one comment in regards to the postings and whatnot. The signs that are put out for zoning changes or variances or whatnot is a courtesy. It's not part of the ordinance or the rules and guidelines of the Calcasieu Parish. And they do run the agendas in the newspapers 3 times before the meeting each month. So it is publicized through the staff and the police juror. Mr. Hawkins, you have some answers to their questions?
I'd like to be able to just several points. One of the common themes, traffic. We completely understand. We don't disagree that something needs to be done. What we know is that one of the last, this was approached several years ago, there was a traffic study that was committed, where the results came back that there was no needed additions, signage, stoplights for that locale. There's a ebb and flow that goes with, as you get more folks moving, we need to address this traffic issue so it can be a driver and callous to that. And where we believe it, not only we believe it we know it has to be part of the process. Traffic. With respect to construction traffic and concerns with the viability of those roads being able to handle construction traffic, clearly it's been done. It's done in Lake Caroline. There's a method to it that has been approved for the purpose of getting equipment and trucks in to the tune of some 380 homes. So we know this is something that's doable. With regard to flooding, particularly the location that's just north of the interstate, we have to have a drainage plan. And any opportunities where we can incorporate within our drainage plan an ability to relieve some flooding in areas, particularly that area, we will absolutely do. Again, we want to be good neighbors. With regard to Lake Caroline, they began construction, the project began about 2007, about 2002, so it's been around for a little while, and they've had some great success. So the ability to build for those roads to handle construction traffic, we believe that would take place. With regard to not being a plan, we have a plat that we presented, we've had an overview we presented, that's the stage we are to go further and to be able to have a certain viable aspect of spending money on those advanced aspects. We have to know it's okay to build houses there. The planning folks will without question say, this is good, this is not good, you must do that, you cannot do that. We have to abide by that. We don't have any latitude in that. We want to abide by that. That is our desire. That is our desire. This parish has identified the need for affordable housing. The study associated with that says this is how you do it. So all we're asking, as we reflect on this, is the ability to be able to have that opportunity to present and build those homes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any of the board members have any questions? Mr. Randall.
What is the property zone for as flood zone?
I think there's portions of it that are in a flood zone and portions out of a flood zone.
Do we have a percentage or?
I don't know if
we don't really know that.
You're looking at it.
That's fine. I mean, is it more of it's not?
The bulk of the property is in what we call X shaded, which is not a special flood hazard area. There's a bit of it that's in an X zone, which is normally considered to be the best zone to be in. And then there's some of it that's in an AE, which is the special flood hazard area. But I believe the AE areas are somewhat of the areas that they've excluded from development in their plan.
Yeah, they're staying out of a lot of those areas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns from the board members?
But when there
Cobb?
is, there has to be a traffic study done, right? So as far as the traffic is concerned, that would be up to the traffic board or people to come in and say, you can't have this amount of traffic, or we have to do this. So it's not gonna be that they're gonna go in and tear the bridge up or tear the roads up. Don't they have to have bonds and everything as far as the roads and stuff's concerned when construction is being done?
Well, typically our engineering department sets that. In other words, when they get ready to develop, and my understanding is that they're gonna do this in phases. So the trigger point for the traffic impact analysis is 1,000 trips per day. So depending on the number of units they put in phase one, it may or may not trigger that, but when it does trigger it, they will have to have that. And what that study, what the traffic impact is gonna do It's gonna show them if they're putting X amount of vehicles on this particular road and the level of, you know, the level changes in that, then they may say, hey, you have to put in turn lanes, or you may have to put in a traffic light, or something to that effect. It's really designed to mitigate some of that traffic, so.
But I noticed there is an entrance on the back part from the freeway. Is that state regulated, or can someone make an access to that?
Most of that, I think, is state regulated, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is DOTD, the Department of Transportation.
One other question. Okay, you said this is gonna be built in phases, and let's say the phases are 25% for each phase, and there's gonna be 4 phases. I don't know, but just for sake of argument. And so we're gonna build 100 houses, and it does not hit any of the thresholds, say we need roundabouts or stoplights or anything like that. But when we go to do phase 2, it does, and they say, no, we're not gonna help build that. Now, this is gone out the wind, they can't build?
Well, when you say.
I mean, phase 1 is all they capable of building then, is that the way I'm understanding it?
Right, in other words,
They
if
don't adhere to the traffic studies.
Right, if the traffic study comes back and says, okay, you can only have X amount of vehicles on this road, or you
Right.
have to build a, you know, turn lane, or you have
Right.
to do improvements, and the developer's not willing to do that, that's it.
It's
It-
out the window.
That's right, it can't go any further
If he's
until
required to
that's
do,
done.
say, a turn lane in phase 1, but phase 3 comes along and now he's required to do a traffic circle, well, he don't get it. If he don't build a traffic circle, he can't come up and say, well, I already built a turn lane. He has to build a traffic circle.
We
or
don't,
help
we will not issue a permit.
Okay.
Any other questions? No other questions? Ms. Jennifer, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Ms. Galicia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Navarre?
No.
Mr. Porsche?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Ormentor?
Yes.
9-4, 1 against.
Motion carries. Item number 10 on the agenda. We'll wait just a second and let the room clear. Item number 10, the chair announced that RZ 08180092, a request by KWG Properties LLC to rezone from general commercial C2 to light industrial I1 to allow residential industrial development, machine shop at 5408 Common Street in Ward 3 has been withdrawn. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on the August 23rd, 2018 meeting with reference to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board from the August 21st, 2018 meeting. Harnoon Property, Elliott Road, withdrawn. East Peon Lake Properties, East Peon Lake Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. LMP Properties, East Abear Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. TPA Investments, Reeves Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. WSM Development, Tom Abear Road, Planning and Zoning denied, police jury upheld. Maybell Blaney, Old Spanish Trail, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, October the 16th, 2018 in the planning at the police jury meeting room. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb,
Second.
second by Ms. Hyatt. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Meanwhile, back on the land.